Welcome to Singapore. A city-state on an island in the Strait of Malacca, Singapore is a multicultural and diverse nation, with multiple ethnicities and nationalities making up the population. It has one of the highest rates of home ownership in the world, with over 90% of people owning the home they live in. And over 3/4 of people live in public housing. In order to find out why this is, however, we have to take a quick history lesson. Prior to independence, Singapore was a British colony. Along with its sister colonies in Malaya and Sarawak, Singapore was part of Malaysia from 1963 to 1965, after which it was expelled from that nation and became fully independent. Singapore's biggest asset as a British colony, however, was as the center of British holdings in Southeast Asia. To the northeast was the lucrative port of Hong Kong, a major trading hub in East Asia, and especially for trade with China. To the north was Burma, a smaller, predominantly agriculturally focused colony neighboring the gem of the British Empire. The British Raj of India was the largest and most profitable colony in the British Empire, and its sister colony in Ceylon provided a significant source of rubber as well. A modern map only further highlights the importance found in Singapore's position, with each individual line showing the path of a container ship. The position at the point between trade from China and trade in the Indian Ocean provides immense military and economic power to whoever controls this area. This power, however, brought the gaze of hungry eyes on Singapore and the other colonies in the East Indies, the eyes of Imperial Japan, whose political and military ambitions desired full control of the region, with all the natural resources, such as oil and rubber, as well as control of regional trade that came with it. After the outbreak of the Second World War, Singapore was captured in February of 1942 and would remain under Japanese occupation until the end of the war in 1945. The war saw devastation throughout much of Singapore, with the initial battle for the city, American and other Allied bombings during the Japanese occupation, and mass looting following the surrender of Japanese troops, combining for devastation that left a severe housing shortage. The Singapore Improvement Trust, or SIT, was an organization founded under colonial rule with the aim of establishing public housing, but in the years following the end of the war, SIT housing only provided for less than 10% of those who needed rehousing in the central area, the part of downtown Singapore which included most of the city's residents and main business district. However, even as the city began to rebuild, one danger still faced many urban Singaporeans: fire. Living in homes made of wood and atap, or mangrove palm, roofs, many urban residents of the city's kampong, or villages, faced widespread fires with the power to destroy their and their neighbors' homes. First, it was Kampong Bugis to the east of the central area in 1951. Two years later, it was Geylang Lorong 3 further east. Five years after that, it was Kampong Ku Chie. And a year after that, Kampong Tiong Baru in the southwest of the city. And then the largest one of them all, in Kampong Bukit Ho Swee. This was the largest one of them all. Nobody knows why the fire started that day, but by the time it was over, 4 people had lost their lives and 16,000 had lost their homes. The greatest crisis in Singapore since they achieved self-governance. And the new Housing and Development Board, created only the year prior, handled the challenge remarkably. By 1965, 4 years after the fire at Bukit Ho Swee, all 16,000 displaced residents had been rehoused. With the land cleared by the destruction of the fire came an opportunity for the HDB, and take it they did, building enough flats for approximately 75,000 residents on the site of the old kampong, almost 4 times the population of the original settlement. The Singaporean model of public housing showed a distinctly different tack from that of the United States. With the stated goal of giving citizens a stake in the country, the government initially built thousands of low-cost flats with between 1 and 4 rooms and sold them to citizens at extremely cheap prices, often as low as $13,000 in today's currency. This policy, continuing on to modern development, although prices have increased, is in large part responsible for the high rate of homeownership among Singaporeans. Over 50,000 flats were constructed in total in the first 5 years, with that number reaching over 350,000 after the program's first 20 years. The most rapid growth occurred in the mid-1980s, with the renovations of older emergency flats and construction of new developments, allowing new flat construction to hit a peak of 67,000 in 1984 alone. Noticeably, much of this development occurred without the tensions seen with urban redevelopment and renewal in the United States. One of the largest factors in this is the differing levels of attention drawn to ethnic and racial lines. Singapore is a country with similar demographics to the United States, with a majority group and multiple minority groups. However, the reaction of various minority groups to redevelopment, in part through differing levels of trust in the national government and models of how redevelopment itself occurred, caused vastly different outcomes for minority groups in the two nations. These patterns of ethnic integration are seen most notably in the quota system for HDB housing blocks, enforced by Singaporean authorities in a successful attempt to maintain cohesiveness in society. With an ever-growing population and a government still focused on providing quality, affordable housing, the future of Singapore looks as bright as ever.